Hello friends, welcome back to the One Burn YouTube channel. I'm Emily. It has been ages. I think it's been about 6 weeks maybe a couple of months since I did my last video. I think it's been about 6 weeks. I've been wanting to come back and film and it just hasn't been happening, and so I thought, you know what, today's the day. My husband has our boys out. They're going on a little shopping excursion. Somebody's mowing the yard. You might be able to hear it. I need to film, so hopefully it's not too loud. But yeah, I was like, okay, let's just sit down and film a little bit of a knit and chat, sort of a vlog video. I'll share some of the projects I've been working on, and a little bit of a mini life update, kind of where I've been, what's been going on, sort of a thing. And we'll just be kind of cozy and chatty, and it'll be fun. I think part of the thing is that I was feeling a little bit like I needed to come on and talk about anything and everything I've been knitting in the last bit, and I don't really need to, because for one thing, I haven't honestly been knitting all that much. I've been knitting some hats, so there's that. But I was going to come and film my July stash update, but I didn't honestly finish that much stuff. It was mostly hats, and so I was like, you know what? It was like halfway through August, and I was like, we're just gonna do a July and August stash update that I will try and film at the beginning of September. And we're just gonna do that, and we'll leave it there. So that's kind of the plan. But yeah, so a little bit of a life update. We've just kind of been having a bit of a busy summer. It's just kind of normal busy. It's August. August used to be one of those months where it was just kind of almost like a throwaway month, if you will. I was homeschooled, so I never had to worry about like specifically going back to school sort of a thing. I don't even remember exactly the timeline of when we would start school for the year. I think a lot of times we started in September, not August. But yeah, it was just kind of one of those throwaway months, like last month of summer, and when you're starting to really think about fall time and stuff, but nothing really happened. And then my husband and I got engaged in August, and now both of our boys have August birthdays, and so I just feel like August has all these things happening. We actually have a birthday party for both of our boys today with my husband's family and stuff, and so it's just it's a lot more busy. And then my sister ended up having like a surprise visit that she came and visited for like a week, which was a whole story. I won't go into it here, but it was just kind of a crazy thing that she needed somewhere to stay for a week, and so they came and stayed, her and her 3 boys, and so that was crazy and hectic. And then one of my brother and sister-in-laws and their little boy came and visited, so we had a full house for one weekend. It was nuts, in a good way. But yeah, so it's been busy. You know, there's 4th of July, then both of my in-law, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they both have birthdays in July, and so we've just kind of been doing a lot of ordinary, busy sorts of things. It's been so hot. I know everybody's talking about that, and it's summertime, and it's like you expect it, and I don't know what it is, because, you know, I've been pregnant over summer twice now, but it just has been so hot this year, and I don't know if it's any different than previous years, or if it's just that because I'm living in it now and I remember it now, but it has just been swelteringly hot, and the boys and I have not emerged out of doors hardly at all, which has been hard. But right now we hit the mosquito season, and so we can't really I was just checking my phone. My husband says he's buying more junk food. He's at the grocery store with the boys, so who knows what he's going to come home with. But our backyard, for whatever reason, seems to be a mosquito magnet for, like, I don't know. This year it happened later in the year, which we were super grateful for, but it kind of, once July hit, maybe at the tail end of June, it was starting to get kind of bad, and then it will probably be pretty bad until the weather significantly cools down, like late September, early October. So it's really tricky to get outside in our yard for a few months out of the year, aside from the fact that it's also insanely hot, and it's just not very pleasant to be outside anyway. So yeah, it's just been a lot of trying to entertain the boys and figure out things to keep them busy. And they both have birthdays, and I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, which is just so beautiful and wonderful. And then my 4-year-old is very, very close to dropping his afternoon nap, and so that has made things a little bit less just like alone me time sort of a thing during the day, which I knew it was going to happen at some point. But so now we've got to transition to more of doing like a quiet time rather than nap time, and just working towards that. But yeah, that's kind of a lot of what it's been. It's just been a busy, normal, stay-at-home mom life, if you will. I have been working on some things, not as much. I haven't really necessarily been finishing a lot of things, but I've been working on things. I actually pulled out a long time languishing whip, which I'm super happy about. My family, my husband, our boys, and me are going on a family vacation later this year with my husband's side of the family and then some of their cousins. I'm very, very excited about it. It's going to be an absolute blast. We did this last year and it was so much fun. It was like one of the best vacations I've ever been on, if not the best vacation. And it was just so chill. We didn't do anything special. We just hung out and everybody was lovely and it was just super fun. So we have that vacation coming up in like 2 months, probably, almost exactly. And I had the thought that it would be super fun if we could go ahead and get our family pictures for our Christmas cards this year. And then I had the thought that wouldn't it be so fun if all of us were in hand knit sweaters. And so I was like, okay, we're gonna see if we can make this happen. So I pulled my husband's stick season cardigan jacket out of hibernation, and I have made a fair amount of progress on this. I am now to the easy, mindless bit where I can just knit and knit and knit, and it'll be amazing. When I picked it up, I had just finished, this is the Stick Season Jacket pattern by Rebecca of the Beata podcast, and the way that it's instructed is you cast on the back, you work a portion of it until you get to the underarm bit, and then you cast on one of the fronts, work that one with some increases and whatnot here and there to get to the underarm. Then you pick up and do the other front, and then you join it all under the arms, because it is work black, because it is a cardigan. And so when I picked it up, I hadn't even finished the back piece. That's right. I had worked the increases that I needed to work, and then I needed to work straight for a while before I did the underarm increases. And so I had just finished those initial increases, and that's where it had sat since January when I cast this on. This was one of my 12 cast-ons of 2026. And so I picked it up and I was like, you know what? I had hesitated because it had languished so long that I wasn't sure that I was going to remember exactly where it stopped, and you know how it is. There's all this like little mental blocks, and you pick it up and you actually work on it and you're like, oh, that's no big deal. So I picked it up and I am just chugging away on it now. And it's a pretty nice and mindless stage now. I need to keep track of my rows so I can keep track of the fun rib texture pattern. I have made one of these for my husband before. This is the second version that I'm making. I'm making it like 3 sizes smaller. I'm using Lion brand Pound of Love. Yeah. Giant thing of yarn in the, is it denim? Denim colorway, which is a really lovely blue. So, working away on that. I think I'm making the 3rd size. I'm using US size 7 or 4.5mm needles. And yeah, so happy to have pulled this back out. I had been kind of feeling guilty and bad that I wasn't working on it, and so I'm super pleased that I'm working on it again. I just got this in one of my husband's old golf tote bags. He did a lot of golfing when he was younger. He taught golf at one point, and so then there was one point where my husband and I were trying to help clean out his parents' garage, and we found this, and it's mine now. So I've been working on that. Let me get a little sip of my electrolyte water because I need electrolytes. I also realized that we were getting to the time of year where it would be good to go ahead and work on sweaters for my little boys for this year. So I have already finished my 2-year-old sweater, and I am working away on my 4-year-old sweater. It's a little bit dark. Let me see if I can fix that. It's a little bit better. It's just a very... It was very cute because my 4-year-old has enough opinions now that I was having him help me pick out colors of yarn that he wanted, and he was very set on a dark blue sweater. So that was really, really sweet. It was really fun to have his input on the color. It was fun. So he picked out this color, and it is Solstice Heather. It is the Knit Picks Brava and the worsted weight. And this is a 100% premium acrylic. It is machine wash and tumble dry, which is the main reason why I picked it. So I am just working away on the body now. I am using the Tweedy Junior pattern by Beata Jezek of Hedgehog Fibers. She has a bunch of free patterns, and I think this is my favorite kids sweater pattern. It calls for DK weight, and I'm using worsted weight because I don't know, I'm at that stage with my knitting where I'm like, it'll be fine. I am knitting technically the smallest size, which is the 3 to 6 month size, but I'm using worsted weight and significantly larger needles. I think the pattern calls, well, not significantly, I think the pattern calls for US size 6 or 4 millimeter, and I'm using US size 8 or 5 millimeter needles. And this is the exact same pattern that I used for the baby sweaters that I knit earlier this year for gifts, and actually the same size too. I just used DK weight for that one. But the other fun thing is that because it's a raglan sweater, basically I followed the pattern for the number of stitches to cast on and for splitting it into the raglan sections, and then I just increased every other row for the raglan until it was long enough. So I don't know how many stitches I ended up with for the body and the sleeves and everything, but I just tried it on my 4-year-old and was like, oh, yep, we're good. And so I split for sleeves, and here we are, chugging away on the body. A mindless in the round knit, which is amazing. I've been all about mindless knits right now. And then, oh, I did start my, make sure I have enough of a loop pulled out that I'm not gonna undo it. I mentioned in my last, I think it was in my last stash update video, that I had bought 4 skeins of this I Love This yarn. This is in the Galaxy Gazing colorway and was on clearance, and so I grabbed 4 skeins of it. And I have started a center out moss stitch crochet blanket. And I did kind of a rectangle, like a kind of fat rectangle, but I didn't want a square one. I wanted it to be a little bit rectangle. And I honestly kind of, I have made 2 now. I made a center out square moss stitch blanket, and I made a center out rectangle one, and so I kind of did my own thing for this one where it was kind of in between. I didn't want quite the same rectangle shape, and I didn't want it to be square, so I kind of did it in between. But it is coming along beautifully. It's another really fun mindless one. I have realized that with doing moss stitch crochet, or yeah, the crochet moss stitch, I can do it without looking, which is kind of fun. Not quite the same as when I'm knitting, but because of the way it's done, where it's a single crochet chain, I can just feel where my hook needs to go, and so I can do it without looking, which is really fun. So yeah, I'm using this I Love This yarn, and I'm using a 7 millimeter crochet hook. So there's those, and then just yesterday, actually, I started finally another super fun project. Last year now, I was going to say earlier this year, last year I was gifted some yarn. It was like a yarn stash. I just realized this has what this yarn is. I did not realize that that had that in there. Cool. And when I was gifted that yarn stash, there was a lot of acrylic yarn, mostly acrylic yarn, a couple skeins of like vintage 100% yarn from like Red Heart or something, and a cone of cotton yarn. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with this? Like, I don't really use handmade dishcloths all that much. I want to, because I think that would be fun, and it would be fun to make myself dishcloths, but I don't really use them. So then I realized that what I can do is I'm going to make some for gifting, because I know there are some people that will use handmade ones. And so I finally, yesterday, a few months ago now, one of my lovely knitting friends, Sarah, hi Sarah, if you're watching, mentioned that she had been knitting the almost lost dishcloth pattern, I think is what it's called, or washcloth pattern. I will have it linked down below. It's a free pattern. And when she mentioned that, I looked it up and saw what it was and was like, oh, I would love to try and knit that. Months ago now. I finally sat down yesterday and actually made 2 of them. Now, I just this morning stitched them up, because the way that it's worked is you work, I've actually cast on a 3rd one, you work these wedges. It's kind of a short rose, but you don't have to resolve them or anything. You work these wedges. It's almost like if you're familiar with quilting, the Dresden quilt block, I think is what it's called. But you work these wedges around, you work 14 of them, and then there's a hole in the middle, and then there's a spot where you have to seam it. And so you cast it off, and then you seam together the cast on and bind off, and close up the hole in the middle. So this was the first one that I did, and I realized that when I was doing it, I was kind of doing a mattress stitch, and I realized that I had the back side of the dishcloth facing me, not the front side. So now I have kind of this ugly seam on the front of my dishcloth. But I wasn't gonna pull it out. I was like, honestly, it's not that bad, and it's like, it'll be fine. It's a dishcloth. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I knew better for the second one. So this is what the first one looks like. And then the second one, I kind of just did like a whip stitch almost, and it is way more invisible. Let me see. Okay, just making sure again, I have my phone turned on because my husband is out, and so I just need to be able to pay attention. The number of times that I have missed when he is calling me or texting me, just because my phone was on vibrate. Anyway, so this is the second one. I've got 2 done. I'm just gonna make as many as I feel like making. I think it's really fun that when you fold them up, they kind of have this like, let me get it, like scalloped edge. That's so pretty. So yeah, I'm super happy that I have finally tried out this pattern. It is so easy. I've already memorized it after doing like 1 repeat of the pattern. Like, it is so simple. And I have this giant cone of yarn, and so I am thrilled to be using some of it. Yeah, so I'm going to make a few more of those, just kind of work on them here and there. Like I said, they're really easy, really mindless. You do have to like pay attention, but I have the pattern memorized, so it's not like I have to constantly check a pattern. Yeah, I'm just using some acrylic. I think these are like Knit Pro or something. They discontinued them at Hobby Lobby. They used to have them, and I honestly wish that I had grabbed like one in every size they had when they were available, because I love them. And they're just straight needles. I'm using US size 7, 4.5 millimeter. They are amazing for projects like this. So that's kind of the main. There's been some other stuff that I've worked on. I worked on my retroactive pullover by Turquoise Toque Designs. I worked on that and got a good chunk of that done. I actually need to block it, and then I can seam up the sides before I do the sleeves and the bottom hem. So that's really exciting. I've been working on that off and on for a good while. I have another hat on the needles for the project gift whatever thing, project prayer hat that I'm working on. I have another hat on the needles. Yeah, I have been doing a fair amount of knitting. It just kind of is here and there, and I've been really wanting lots of kind of simple and mindless and more relaxing sorts of knits rather than things that I have to pay too much attention to. So I'm really glad that I have like my husband's cardigan at a spot where it's pretty mindless. I just have to keep track of the rows, but I just have a click row counter, and so I don't even really have to think about it. I just click that every time I do a row. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of weeding, and that's been really fun. I went through a phase where I was reading a bunch of the British Library Crime Classics short story anthology collections. I love those. They're so much fun. I've been reading some different romance books that I couldn't necessarily recommend because they're not my usual. They're more contemporary with a bit more swearing and spice in them than I normally do, but I was in the mood for something a bit more serious than a light, fluffy historical romance. But now I'm back to the historical romances, so we're all good. But yeah, so it's been a fair amount of reading going on, and just fitting in knitting here and there where I can. And I'm really, really excited to be working on my boys' sweaters, because I have 2 more planned for my 4-year-old, because I know that for my 2-year-old I've got sweaters that I knit for my 4-year-old when he was younger, so he will have hand knit sweaters, but I wanted to make sure I made at least one for him that was just for him. Not a hand-me-down. But now my 4-year-old is kind of outgrowing everything, and so he's going to need the new clothes, and so I'm super happy. I made him this one, and then I'm planning to make him a striped, I have a bunch more colors of the Brava, the Knit Picks Brava, and the Tweed. I'm so excited to start that one. That one was one where it was like I picked the colors because I knew what I wanted. I didn't give him a choice. He got to pick for this one, but then that one I was like, I'm going to make him this one as well. And then I am planning to make him another one of the Foxes for Felix sweater. I can't remember who that's by, but I knit that when I was pregnant with baby number 2. And it's just one of the cutest sweaters ever. And I'm pretty sure that that one will fit my 2-year-old, hopefully. My 2-year-old is significantly bigger than my 4-year-old was when my 4-year-old was 2. So hopefully that will fit my 2-year-old. And then I will knit a new one for my 4-year-old, and I will get some adorable pictures of them, and I cannot wait because it's like the cutest sweater ever. And then I have a bunch of plans for sweaters and things that I want to make for me. I'm hoping to make a ranunculus sweater with the ranunculus along that Devon of Knitting McPurley is hosting. That starts September 1st. I've been really wanting to knit another ranunculus, and so when she said that she was doing a knit along for it, I was like, oh, that's perfect. I have some like acrylic yarn that I got from Hobby Lobby when they were clearancing out some stuff. It's just a gray. It's gonna be like really nice, like basic gray sweater, and I'm very excited about it. And then I have my Andy Satterland Crumb cardigan that I've worked on here and there a little bit over the summer, and then I kind of was, I just needed to put it back away because I just wasn't in the mood for working on that. I'd love to pull that out and get that done because it's in a beautiful fuchsia pink, so it would be perfect for like fall time. So I need to pull that out and work in that. And then I have, well, it's over there. I'm not gonna get up and get it. My second, Cloud Break sweater that I was knitting out of the Barocco Gaia, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, yarn. And I realized that when I was working away on it, and I realized that as much as I love the yarn color, it is just not my color. So my plan is to finish that up and gift it to one of my sisters. So I need to get that one done. And then I got some more Barocco Remix Light in this beautiful like eggplant purple color, and I really want to cast on a sweater out of that. I'm starting to realize that purple might be one of my underexplored colors because as much as I love pink, it is a trickier one to find the colors that I think look good on me, whereas purple I think is easier because basically I think I look better in deeper jewel tone colors. And I love a magenta pink, or a fuchsia pink, but I do want more warm leaning ones of those, and I think it's a little bit easier to sometimes to find like the warm jewel toned versions of purple. I could be wrong. I could just not be looking in the right spot, but I'm very excited about that. So I have that. I haven't completely decided what pattern I'm going to use that for because it is a cotton blend, but I'm hoping to have enough to make it long sleeved. So yeah, I have plans. I'm planning to knit the Visto sweater by Anna Johanna, I believe. Kirsty from Kirsty Knits and Sews is doing like a mini like little knit along thing starting I think the tail end of September, and so I scrounged through my stash and found a beautiful selection of different blues and then like an orange for like some pop of color, and I'm very excited about it. I've been having to like resist casting that on because I really want to cast it on, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to wait, I'm going to try and finish up a few more things and then just dive into casting that on. Yeah. I think that's about it. I think that's all I got to chit chat about for today. I think this video is approaching about 30 minutes, and I think that's a pretty good start to getting back in the swing of filming things. So thank you for listening to me chit chat about stuff. I would love to know what you've been working on this summer, what projects you're anticipating working on as we approach fall. It's probably going to still be another month or two before it actually cools down, at least where I live. But hopefully we'll start getting some cooler days in September. But yeah, I'd love to know what you're looking forward to working on and what you have been working on. It seems like a lot of people are working on a lot of cross stitch over the summer, which I'm a little jealous about, but also I just don't really have the brain space, or I don't know. It's a lot easier for me to work on knitting projects around my boys than it would be to do a cross stitch project with a very sharp pointy needle. Because they're very, very into like knitting and stuff. It was cracking me up because my 2-year-old, who's still in the process of learning how to talk, like last night, he starts saying something or another about mama knitting. And I was like, I just looked at my husband and I was like, yes! I'm corrupting our children. Because they were literally, there was one time we were going to Hobby Lobby and the two of them were in the back of the van arguing about whether or not we were going to look at the yarn first or the fabric first. And I was just about to lose it because I was just like, yes, these are my children. Like it was the funniest thing. Because again, like my 2-year-old is he's still learning how to talk. He's not completely talking, but he knows how to say yarn and knitting. And so I have taught him. Anyway, I'm gonna chill and watch a couple of knitting videos and do some knitting, and yeah, I hope that you are all doing well, that you're having a wonderful, wonderful summer, and that the rest of it will go well for you too. I hope to be back. Hopefully I'll be able to feel up for doing some vlogging over the next week or so. We shall see, but yeah, I'm hoping to get back in the swing of filming again. I feel like what happens is I get out of the habit of filming, and then it's really hard to get back into the habit of filming. So, we shall see. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!